Warmest greetings to all my incredible subscribers and new viewers alike. Welcome to our video on Berkeley County School District. We're thrilled to have you here. The Berkeley County School District is a school district within Berkeley County, South Carolina, United States. It is based in Moncks Corner and serves all of Berkeley County, including the portion of the City of Charleston on Daniel Island and the Cainhoy Peninsula. Its attendance area is the entire county. As we progress through this video, let's shift our attention towards history and uncover its hidden depths. Berkeley County School District was founded in 1912 in Moncks Corner, SC. In 2011, Rodney Thompson became the superintendent. By 2015, he received a criminal indictment on a school bond campaign-related ethics offense, and he was removed from his position. The district made 2 attempts at finding a new superintendent, with the second occurring after a finalist dropped out of the process. The district selected Brenda Blackburn, previously the Montgomery County Public Schools Virginia superintendent, and she took the position on November 1, 2015. By 2017, the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) investigated potential embezzlement. The district fired Chief Financial Officer Brantley Thomas on February 7, 2017. In March of that year, Superintendent Brenda Blackburn resigned, and Dion Jackson became the interim superintendent. In August 2017, Dr. Eddie Ingram was hired as the superintendent of Berkeley County School District. Ingram came to be CSD after having previously served as the superintendent for Darlington County School District in Darlington, SC for several years. Prior to his time in Darlington, Ingram spent 4 years as the superintendent of Franklin County Schools in North Carolina. He also spent time working in North Carolina's State Education Department. Dr. Ingram is credited with assisting BCSD in several positive movements, including but not limited to a focus on innovation in the classroom and personalized learning. Ingram encouraged unhitching teachers from the post and discouraged teaching to the test. Dr. Ingram retired from Berkeley County School District in summer of 2021, and Mr. Dion Jackson was selected as the district's superintendent. On November 15, 2022, Mr. Dion Jackson was terminated from his position as superintendent by a board vote of 6-3. On the same day, the Berkeley County Board of Education voted to terminate the in-house lawyer, Tiffany Richardson, by a vote of 6-3. Mr. Dion Jackson was replaced by Superintendent Dr. Anthony Dixon by a board vote of 6-1. Dr. Anthony Dixon was previously employed by the Berkeley County School District as Chief of Academics and Innovation as well as Chief of Secondary Schools 2020-2022. He was then hired by the Charleston County School District as the interim Chief of Schools in August 2022. In this chapter, we'll be unraveling the enigma of the termination of Mr. Dion Jackson and discovering its transformative power. In the summer of 2021, Dr. Eddie Ingram retired from his position as the superintendent of Berkeley County School District. The following finalists were named in the selection process of a new superintendent: Dion Jackson, Anthony Dixon, and Glenda Gibson. Dion Jackson was selected by the Berkeley County Board of Education 6-2. On November 8, 2022, Michael Ramsey incumbent, Mac McQuillan incumbent, Joe Baker, Kathy Littleton incumbent, Jimmy Hinson, Sally Wofford incumbent, Yvonne Bradley, and Crystal Wigfall incumbent all won the midterm elections. David Barrow is an at-large member of the board. On November 16, 2022, all board members were sworn in. 4 minutes and 8 seconds after being sworn in, the board removed Mr. Barrow from his position as chair and placed Mr. McQuillan in the position by a vote of 6-2. Mr. Barrow abstained. The board then went into executive session. After coming out of executive session, the Berkeley Elementary School drummers performed in front of the board. The board then took public comment where many people thanked Superintendent Jackson. After public comment, Mrs. Bradley spoke to the audience of the meeting saying, "What we are about to do in this session, ladies and gentlemen, you are being fooled by these 6," pointing to Wofford, McQuillan, Ramsey, Littleton and Hinson. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The board proceeded to vote on student attendance and expulsion appeals. After voting on attendance and expulsion appeals, Chairman McQuillan then recognized Miss Littleton. Miss Littleton stated the following: Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to terminate the employment of Dr. Tiffany Richardson as in-house General Counsel for Berkeley County School District and retain services. The audience was shocked and expressed this aloud. Chairman McQuillan responded by saying, "We're going to maintain order in this meeting." Miss Littleton continued and retained the services of Mr. Brandon Gaskins effective immediately as discussed in executive session. The audience continued to show their views on the motion. Chairman McQuillan responded by saying, "All right, listen up. We're going to be respectful during this meeting. You may disagree with our votes, but I'd ask that you please be professional and calm. What kind of example are you setting for our kids disrupting a meeting like this?" The audience expressed their disapproval of the statement. Chairman McQuillan proceeded to say, "Miss Littleton, could you please repeat your motion?" Miss Littleton repeated the motion. Mr. Gaskins was previously hired by the district. He was replaced by Dr. Tiffany Richardson. The motion was seconded by Mrs. Wofford. Chairman McQuillan asked if there was any discussion, to which both Mr. Barrow and Mrs. Bradley replied in the affirmative. Mr. Barrow began his discussion saying, "On what grounds were the..." Chairman McQuillan interrupted to recognize Mr. Barrow for discussion, saying, "Mr. Bradley, you're recognized." Realizing his mistake, Chairman McQuillan smiled and appeared to say, "I'm sorry." His smile quickly faded when he heard the frustration in Mr. Barrow's voice when saying, "I'm asking the question of the person who made the motion. The person who made the motion for a reason. I'd like to know what it is." Mrs. Wigfall also voiced her question on the cause of the motion. Chairman McQuillan then stated, "I'm recognizing Mrs. Bradley. You can ask that question if you'd like." Mrs. Bradley then asked, "What is the cause Dr. Richardson is being removed, terminated?" To which Chairman McQuillan responded by saying, "I'm not going to discuss personnel matters in executive session." Mrs. Bradley then expressed her concern with terminating an employee without a given reason, indicating the district would not be able to close the 140 teacher gap if this practice continued. Mr. Barrow stated that he'd like to know the fee of Mr. Gaskins, the former in-house lawyer, the new one, if the motion was passed. Mr. Barrow stated, "The last time I had occasion to discuss the fees, his fee was $375 per hour." The audience expressed their shock. Mr. Barrow went on to place a stack of invoices that total dollars at a cost per month of $25,946.84 from Mr. Gaskins when he was previously employed with the district. A difference of $14,000 a month from what the district pays Dr. Richardson, the in-house lawyer. Whilst Mr. Barrow was talking, Mrs. Wofford said, "I move that we call the question." Mr. Barrow responded by saying, "No, I am not finished. You're not going to stop me." Chairman McQuillan also interrupted Mr. Barrow. Mr. Barrow replied by saying, "So you're silencing me, Mr. Chairman? Are you silencing me? Are you silencing me? You know there was a time when someone was silenced and there was a lawsuit. Do you recall that?" The motion was then carried 6-3. Dr. Richardson got up and walked out the door while being applauded by members of the audience as well as Mr. Barrow, Mrs. Wigfall, and Mrs. Bradley. Mrs. Bradley then said, What's the next motion? Watch the motion. Listen carefully. You all have been sandbagged." McQuillan proceeded to say, "I make a motion to terminate the employment of Mr. Dion Jackson, the superintendent of the Berkeley County School District, effective immediately." The audience, once again, expressed their disagreement with the new board. Mr. Barrow then stated, "I'd like to know the justification and the rationale reasoning for firing an individual who was proficient in his first annual evaluation." The audience clapped. "What's the reason, Mr. Chairman? You made the motion. Now what's the reason? Why are we terminating his employment?" Mr. Barrow asked. Chairman McQuillan responded by saying, "Mr. Barrow, I'm not going to discuss personnel matters in open session." The audience was not pleased with the chairman's answer. Okay, well, we're going to continue the discussion then because I'm not going to let it go, Mr. Barrow said. Mr. Barrow proceeded to explain that he was told that Dr. Jackson was being terminated due to the belief that his contract, that required a supermajority to terminate him unilaterally, was unconstitutional. Mr. Barrow presented legal opinions from lawyers that stated Dr. Jackson's contract was not unconstitutional. Mr. Barrow said that he believed the termination to be a political witch hunt and the audience applauded him. The motion to terminate Mr. Dion Jackson passed 6-3. Mr. Dion Jackson got up from his seat and walked out of the door. A group of teachers were applauded as they walked out in response to Mr. Dion Jackson being terminated. Following the teachers, majority of the audience left as well as Mrs. Wigfall and Mrs. Bradley. Wrong, 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 a member of the public said while pointed to 5 of the 6 who voted to terminate the employment of Dr. Jackson. Mr. Hinson stated the following: Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to name Anthony Dixon as the new superintendent of Berkeley County School District effective immediately, and order that Mr. Dixon be immediately successfully given this mid-year transition. I further moved to authorize Mr. Dixon to immediately hire a new Deputy Superintendent Chief Academic Officer and further restructure and reassign his cabinet with no further board action. Mr. Barrow did not stop his fight for Dr. Jackson. He questioned Dr. Dixon being able to hire a deputy superintendent when Dr. Jackson was denied being able to have one. Mr. Barrow continued to fight for Dr. Jackson, repeatedly asking why Dr. Jackson was terminated, to which Chairman McQuillan responded, I know Anthony Dixon. Mr. Barrow then said, I know Dion Jackson. I know Dion Jackson. Mr. Barrow wanted to hear why Dr. Jackson was terminated, as the chairman indicated he would give an explanation when told the new lawyer wasn't present. Mr. Barrow stated, oh, okay, so there's no justification. There's no reasoning for terminating the superintendent, because you said we would hear tonight the reasoning. You said that, and I'm holding you to it in public arena for you to embarrass yourself. Chairman McQuillan ignored Mr. Barrow's request for an explanation and called the question on the motion, which was passed 6-1. It is worth noting all members who voted to terminate the employment of Dr. Jackson and Dr. Richardson are backed by Moms for Liberty. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting school board and exploring its implications in greater detail. District name position term ends at large. Syndicates member 1 Mr. Michael Ramsey, Vice Chair 2 Mr. Stafford McQuillan, member 3 Mr. Joseph Baker, member 4 Mrs. Kathy Littleton, member 5 Angelina Davenport, member 6 Mrs. Sally Wofford, Chair 7 Mrs. Yvonne Bradley, member 8 Dr. Crystal Wigfall, member. As we progress through this video, let's now turn our gaze towards superintendents. Name position Dr. Anthony Dixon, Superintendent Dr. Karen Whitley, Deputy Superintendent. In this segment, we'll be unraveling the complexities of district executives and exploring its multifaceted nature. Name position Diane Driggers, Chief Technology and Infrastructure Officer, Amy Fulmer, Chief Human Resources Officer, Al Davis, Chief Operations Officer, Tim McDowell, Chief People Services Officer, Dr. Keelan Middleton, Chief Officer of Inclusive Excellence and Student Support, Katie Tanner, Chief Communications and Community Engagement Officer, Marky Abrahamson, Chief Finance Officer, Dr. Susan Gelman, Chief Academics and Innovation Officer. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine magnet schools and its connections to our previous discussions. Berkeley Middle College, Berkeley Center for the Arts at GCH, Merrington Middle School of the Arts, Howe Hall AIMS Elementary, H.E. Bonner Elementary. As we enter this new phase, let's analyze high schools from different angles and evaluate its significance. Traditional Berkeley High School, Cane Bay High School, Cross High School, Goose Creek High School, Hanahan High School, Philip Simmons High School, Stratford High School, Timberland High School. Alternative Berkeley Alternative School. Now, we shift our focus to K-8 schools, a topic that deserves our attention. Daniel Island School, Carolyn Lewis School. In this segment, we'll be unraveling the complexities of middle schools and exploring its multifaceted nature. Berkeley Middle School, Cane Bay Middle School, College Park Middle School, Hanahan Middle School, Macedonia Middle School, Street Stephen Middle School, Sangori Middle School, Sedgefield Middle School, Philip Simmons Middle School, Westview Middle School. With our foundation established, it's time to explore elementary schools and its relevance to our overarching theme. Berkeley Elementary, Berkeley Intermediate, Boulder Bluff Elementary, Bowens Corner Elementary, Cainhoy Elementary, Cane Bay Elementary, College Park Elementary, Cross Elementary, Devon Forest Elementary, Foxbank Elementary, Goose Creek Elementary, H. E. Bonner Elementary, Hanahan Elementary, J.K. Gordon Elementary, Merrington Elementary, Mount Holly Elementary, Nexon Elementary, Philip Simmons Elementary, Street Stephen Elementary, Sangori Elementary, Sangori Intermediate, Westview Elementary, Westview Primary, Whitesville Elementary. I love hearing from you, so leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments.